I didn't expect her to change anything. I just wanted to know where I stood, what we'd lost, what was still mine. This isn't about comparison. It's about who I am, who I was, and how you find yourself again by staring at your own shadow. My husband, Tom, said it like a joke. Pick anyone you want. I'll only say yes if she looks like you. I laughed it off, rolled my eyes, changed the subject. But it stuck, a splinter in my mind, because part of me didn't believe him. I wasn't fishing for reassurance. I just saw things. His eyes lingered longer on old photos than on me. He still called me beautiful, but his hands didn't reach for me like they used to. I told myself it was marriage, routine, stress anything but what I feared. One night, with Tom snoring beside me in our Chicago brownstone, I did something I couldn't explain. I grabbed my phone and texted a woman I'd met once, a bartender from the coffee shop near my office. Clara, maybe 27 with warm eyes, dark hair, a figure like mine before time traded my edge for comfort. I didn't think she'd agree. I didn't even think I'd send it. But I did, and when she replied, "Sure, okay," a cold knot twisted in my gut. I told myself I was just curious, testing a theory. But when the day came and I saw her at the door, wearing a pale green sweater, my color, my style, my heart clenched. She looked too much like me, and I didn't know if that made me powerful or replaceable. I spent hours making it look effortless, like her showing up was normal, expected, no big deal. I told Tom we'd have a guest, didn't say who, just someone from the coffee shop needing a break. He didn't ask questions. He rarely does anymore. When the doorbell rang that evening, the table was set. Soft light spilled from the chandelier. Wine poured, the air thick with the scent of rosemary and roasted meat. My palms were damp. My pulse kicked harder than it should. Tom came downstairs, sleeves half rolled, expecting small talk and leftovers. Then he saw her. He paused mid-step. Not abrupt, just a hitch, like his brain needed a second to catch up with his eyes. Clara looked up, nervous but smiling. "Hi," she said softly. He glanced at me. "Her name's Clara." I said, "She's staying for dinner." I could see him piecing it together. His smile was polite, but his eyes lingered not cruel, just familiar, like he was staring at something he used to know by heart. Suddenly, I felt outside the room, watching two people meet across a decade, one still me, the other who I'd been. They shook hands. She laughed too loud at his first joke. He filled her glass before it was empty. I caught how he leaned in when she spoke, how he explained things like he hadn't explained anything to me in years, like he needed her to understand him. She wasn't wrong. She was sweet, grateful, a little overwhelmed. But when she slid her chair closer to him, and he didn't pull away, I felt it a hum in my chest. Not anger, not fear, just absence. Then it happened. They both reached for the wine bottle, their fingers brushing, a spark in the dim light. She looked down. He didn't. His face softened, relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in years. That's when I knew. I wasn't just testing him. I wanted to see if I could make him look at me like that again. I told myself I was imagining it, that I was tired, that the wine was making me raw. But I couldn't unsee how his expression eased, not for me, but for her. He hadn't looked at me like that in months, not with that quiet curiosity, like he was discovering something new. I hated that I noticed. I hated that it mattered. Clara tried to be respectful, smiling when he spoke, nodding like she didn't want to cross a line. I kept waiting for her to glance at me, to remember I was part of this. Most of the time, she didn't. It wasn't deliberate. She was just focused on him. So was I. I watched how his body tilted toward her without thinking, how he served her first, how his laugh came easier when she laughed first, like they were sinking into each other without trying. All I could think was, did I ever look that alive to him? Maybe I did. Before bills and quiet routines. Before we said I love you like punctuation instead of a promise. Before I stopped primping behind closed doors, thinking love didn't need reminding. Now I wasn't sure. I could have gone upstairs, faked a phone call, found a reason to end the night early. Instead, I poured another glass, smiled when they did, laughed when it fit, and sat there feeling like I was fading, not to punish myself, but because some stubborn, silent part of me wasn't ready to leave, to see what he'd do next or maybe what I'd do. They stopped talking, but the silence wasn't empty. It was heavy, charged, like something had shifted, even if none of us said it out loud. Clara looked at me then, not apologetic, not nervous, just soft, like she remembered I was there and wanted me to know she hadn't forgotten. I didn't smile, but I didn't look away. Tom reached for the bottle again, slower this time, offered to fill both our glasses. I shook my head. Clara hesitated, then did the same. His eyes flicked between us for a second, curious, maybe even thoughtful. Then he leaned back in his chair, his body half turned toward her, half toward me. It meant nothing, but it meant everything. Because for the first time that night, I didn't feel like I was watching something happen without me. I felt tied to it, like there was still a place for me in the room, like this wasn't about replacing me but remembering me through someone else's eyes. I stood, not fast, not abrupt, just enough to break the moment. I carried empty plates to the kitchen, more out of habit than need, and when I came back, they'd moved to the couch. They weren't touching, not even close, but something about how they sat open, relaxed, leaning slightly toward the empty cushion between them made me pause. Neither spoke, but both looked at me at the same time, like they were waiting, like they knew the next move wasn't theirs. I walked over slowly, sat between them without asking. The room felt warmer, smaller, not stifling, just focused, quiet. Clara smiled at me once. Tom exhaled, like something in him had settled. None of us spoke. We didn't need to. In that moment, I didn't feel threatened. I felt seen. We stayed like that, three of us. One pause. No one moved. No one spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was full, like the room had finally settled into something honest. I looked at Tom first. His eyes were calm, not seeking permission or forgiveness, just open. He wasn't trying to fix anything. He was just there. In that stillness, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. I wasn't judged. I wasn't compared. I was seen. Then I turned to Clara. She wasn't looking at him. She was looking at me, not expecting, not nervous, just quiet, like she knew this wasn't her moment. It was mine. It didn't feel like a test anymore. It felt like a mirror not of who I'd been, but of who I still was, beneath the doubt, beneath the years. I didn't reach for anyone. I didn't speak. I didn't move closer. I just breathed. And in that breath, Something inside me softened, not because everything changed, but because, for the first time in too long, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel forgotten. I felt like I belonged to my own life again, and that was enough. Some moments speak loudest when nothing's said. It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about seeing what still matters. Be honest. Would you want to be there? What would you do? Let me know in the comments. I'll read them. If this story hit you, subscribe and hit the bell. More is coming. Thanks for being here.